Baltimore, Maryland, August 30th. A Washington Redskins helmet sits on the grass before the start of the Redskins and Baltimore Ravens preseason game at M&T Photo by Rob Carr. Getty Images. The Washington Redskins situation at cornerback isn't particularly bad. There are three starters in place in Josh Norman, Quinton Dunbar, and Fabian Moreau, and the latter two have some long-term utility as starters, as long as Dunbar's nerve injury checks out over the course of the offseason. The Redskins also have some good depth pieces, particularly Greg Stroman. As last year's 7th-round pick, Stroman exceeded expectations when asked to play in relief of injuries, and he ended the year as Pro Football Focus's highest-graded Redskins cornerback. The Redskins do have a need at cornerback, but it isn't as immediate. Josh Norman turns 31 years old this offseason, and with his cap number, he's becoming less and less cost-effective. In a league where covering receiving options matters more and more each year, the Redskins could choose to renew their investment in one of the game's most important positions. If they do, they have some options. Want your voice heard? Join the Rigos Rag team. Write for us. With that said, here are three cornerbacks to watch at the 2019 NFL Combine, both as overall prospects and potential Redskins targets. Page 2. Columbia, Mo, October 27. Cornerback Lonnie Johnson Jr. Photo by Jamie Squire. Getty Images. This draft class, while it might not be overwhelmingly strong at cornerback, is full of long, rangy, athletic players who could develop into starters. One is listed later in this piece, but another cornerback with all the traits and not enough polish to show for it is Kentucky's Lonnie Johnson. Lonnie Johnson is an intriguing prospect. At 6'3", 206, he's one of the biggest cornerback prospects out on the draft board, but his length only got him 1 interception and 4 pass deflections in his senior season. Johnson has a lot of potential, but also a lot to work on, per the Draft Network's John Ledyard. Johnson's tape is concerning to say the least, as he consistently loses at the line of scrimmage and at the top of his route. He's a technical mess that doesn't have the peak plays to get you excited about his upside, but he's big, long and reportedly will test very well in Indy. Good, because he'll need to. There just isn't any reason to take Johnson high in the draft unless you are completely buying in on his upside at the position. If he doesn't test well, the incentive to draft him goes out the window completely. I think he's overhyped as it is, but the Combine can at least give teams that like him one reason to consider drafting him in the top 100. Johnson has perhaps the most draft stock riding on the NFL Combine out of this group. His lack of polish could very well make him a day 3 prospect, but if he tests well, with his size, some team will be willing to snatch him up early, to capitalize on his potential. Page 3. Berkeley, CA, October 27. Byron Murphy. Photo by Lachlan Cunningham. Getty Images. The 2018 NFL Combine, for the most part, tests the movement ability of certain prospects. And there might not be a cornerback in the 2019 NFL Draft who moves better than Washington's Byron Murphy. There's a general lack of consensus pertaining to whether or not Murphy will be available at the Redskins' first pick, but one thing is fairly certain: if Murphy tests the way he should, particularly in the short area drills like the 3-cone and the 10-yard split, then he'll improve his stock for earlier teams. His free movement ability is one of his best traits, as I recently wrote in a scouting report on Murphy. Often, cornerbacks can fall into a bad habit, where they backpedal at the start of the rep, only to fall behind when they finally flip their hips to follow their man. Murphy, however, flips his hips at the start of his reps, using his flexibility to shadow his receiver, and his hip quickness to flip when he needs to. This gives Murphy maximum mobility and recovery potential. It also makes it easier for Murphy to shift from man to man with ease, if he finds himself between two root stems. Murphy's physical quickness hones and collaborates with his mental quickness to create a surefire defensive weapon. Murphy's footwork, in terms of pace and precision, is elite, and when he sees a receiver breaking in or out, his closing speed is lethal. He did have some minor trouble with comeback routes in the tape, but even there, he provides little leeway. Murphy is like a blanket in man coverage, making the most of the opportunities that come his way. Greedy Williams might maintain his CB1 status in some circles due to his raw athleticism, but Byron Murphy has the quickness that teams need from their cornerbacks. In the modern age of football, he'll show it off in drills. Page 4 EVANSTON, October 28, Ramochaukia Bowman. Northwestern defeated Michigan State 39-31 in triple overtime. Photo by Jonathan Daniel, Getty Images. Once a player firmly in the Day 3 discussion, Michigan State's Justin Lane has undergone a surprising rise in the draft community. Many mock drafts now have him going in the second round at the latest, and Jonah Tools, a draft analyst from the Cowboys Wire, had this to say about Lane a few days ago. Finished Michigan State CB's Justin Lane's tape last night. He's firmly in my top 3 at the position. I think he'll absolutely blow up the combine. Jonah Tools, at Jonah Dulson FL, February 25, 2019. I mentioned Lane in our latest podcast episode as a player the Redskins could covet as a Josh Norman replacement. I'm admittedly biased being a Michigan State fan, but Lane is gaining traction in NFL circles, and if he tests well, with his height, length, and tenacity, he'll be hard to pass up, especially in a somewhat weak cornerback class. Lane's pending emergence is peculiar, in the sense that not many people paid attention to him until later in the offseason. As a former wide receiver who only recently switched to cornerback, he was largely overlooked after posting a 2018 season in which he logged 1 interception and 16 pass deflections. However, his disruptive nature, fueled by athleticism and 6'3" length, soon caught into the attention. Now, per NFL Network's Daniel Jeremiah, via Chris Solari of the Detroit Free Press, Lane could sneak into round 1 with a solid combine performance. Next, Redskins' 7th-round mock offensive line in round 1. The Redskins need to weigh all their options in the upcoming 2019 NFL Draft, and cornerback is one of those options at no. 15. Do they take the top positional prospect in Murphy, the enticing fast riser in Lane, or do they wait and gamble on the depth of the draft? That's the question that the coming weeks will work toward answering.